What's up, Meta Nerds? This is the Legends history of IG-88B. He was created on the planet Holowon around the year 15 BBY. Flet Design Systems originally created the IG series, but when they couldn't pay their banking clan debt, all of their blueprints and designs were given over to Holowon Mechanicals. So the employees that worked on building these Assassin Droids were still referred to as Project Flet Droid personnel, but they were all working in Holowon Mechanical laboratories. And on one fateful day, the first of its series, IG-88A, received what was called sentience programming. Now that it was self-aware, it immediately perceived all the personnel in the lab to be threats that needed to die. He quickly eliminated them and worked on freeing some of his droid brothers. He was able to put this sentience programming into IG-88B, C, and D, as well as IG-72. These 5 droids were able to escape from Holowon laboratories, killing or destroying anything that got in their way. Once they were freed, the droids all went their separate ways, and IG-88B quickly found that he was well suited for a career in bounty hunting. This droid's infamous reputation grew, and eventually he was known as the second best bounty hunter in the galaxy, second only to Boba Fett. And for his ship, he used the awesome-looking Aggressor Assault Fighter. The specific model was the IG-2000, which IG-88 helped design himself. It was nearly as fast as Boba Fett's Slave 1, and Dash Rendar once described its interior as cold, metal, and a little bit of evil, just like its pilot. One of IG-88B's stranger bounties was 5 years before the Battle of Yavin. There was this guy called Olag Grek, who was a spice dealer, but also wanted to get into the business of building ships. He was involved in a lot of corporate espionage, stole some blueprints from his rival, and that rival hired IG-88 to embarrass Olag. IG-88 was able to smuggle himself on one of Grek's spice shipments, but he quickly ran out of power. Grek discovered the assassin droid sitting there defenseless and slapped some carbonite shackles on him. Grek's plan was to have IG-88B's memory wiped and force the droid to fight for him in the Hosk arena. And perhaps the force was on IG-88B's side, because as luck would have it, C-3PO and R2-D2 were also on this ship, and they started fighting with some other passengers, causing a huge distraction, which allowed the assassin droid to break free from his shackles, and enraged started to destroy the entire ship. Chaos ensued, got into a gunfight. He forced R2 to help him repair some of his damage. He almost got captured again when one of Grek's thugs fired a carbonite constrictor net, but the assassin droid was able to get out of this, steal a ship, and jump into hyperspace, and succeed in his mission of simply humiliating him, because remember, his contract wasn't exactly to kill Grek. After that, IG-88B becomes the charismatic leader of the Droid Revolution on Mechas 3. As the name suggests, Mechas was a planet almost entirely devoted to the creation of droids. The surface of this world was covered in countless factories, all of which produced droids that IG-88 felt were being treated as slaves. His love for the revolution dictated which bounties he accepted. He often took jobs that required a lot of destruction, far away from the planet of Mechas. This helped to keep Imperials occupied in other sectors, as the assassin droid wanted to avoid any Imperial entanglements. That is, of course, with the exception of Darth Vader's contracts. The Dark Lord was willing to overlook the dismantle on sight Imperial law concerning assassin droids, and he was paying quite well for the capture of Han Solo. Knowing that throughout his career, he was still the second best bounty hunter. After we see him meeting with Vader on the Executor, IG-88 put a tracker on the Slave 1 and followed the galaxy's top bounty hunter to Bespin. The only problem is that Boba Fett was number 1 for a reason. He discovered that IG-88 was following him and laid a trap for his assassin droid rival. Boba Fett pretended not to know he was being followed, and led the assassin droid into the deeper recesses of Cloud City. IG-88 walked right into Boba Fett's trap, which included 4 remotely activated ion cannons. These all stunned IG-88B, and just for good measure, Boba Fett hit him with his own shoulder-mounted ion cannon. This blast knocked him to the floor. Boba Fett realized that this would be his chance to eliminate his longtime rival, and he took IG-88's own concussion grenades and stuffed them inside of the droid's metal casing. Once these detonated, IG-88B was torn apart from the inside. And just to add insult to injury, Fett had a very dismissive reaction to the death of his longtime rival, and he said to all the Ugnaughts that were watching, "You're welcome to what's left." Well, that's how IG-88B's story ends. But before you go, you definitely want to hear these cool facts and behind the scenes stuff. After the scene with IG-88 on the Executor, he actually went and did some snooping around on the ship's computer files. Being an extremely good slicer, he found information on the second Death Star. He took this information and gave it back to the droid that helped him escape all those years before, sending it to IG-88A. And he has a crazy life story that we'll cover in a different video. And for the basic stats of IG-88B, this droid was 2 meters or 6.5 feet tall and was surprisingly heavy at 140 kilograms or 308 pounds. He's classified as a 4th degree droid, and his weapons included a gas dispenser, flamethrower, neural flame grenades, neural inhibitor launcher, ion blaster, concussion grenade launcher, pulse cannon, and last but not least, a sonic stunner. And his iconic design with rotating red sensor eyes went on to inspire other droid designs, like the Assassin probe droid that we see in the Clone Wars TV show. And here is early concept art of IG-88, then named the Chrome War droid, but it had a production name that would later be worked into Legends material, as it was called the Flut droid. The way it worked on set is that it was a mechanical puppet, and what's really cool is that the IG-88 is part Rolls-Royce, as its iconic cylindrical head was part of the combustion assembly in a Rolls-Royce Durant jet engine. Well, that's it for the legend story of IG-88B. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button, and be sure to leave a comment down below if I missed any cool facts, or if you have a suggestion for future videos. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at MetaNerdsLore, so you can see us build Star Wars props and cosplays, along with some other cool Star Wars stuff. If you want to help support this channel, check out the description below for our Amazon store and our Patreon. And be sure to subscribe, because we're making videos like this every single day. But more important than all that, remember, never follow a bounty hunter into a dark alley, and the Force will be with you, always.